Pokemon Growth Week is an event that's designed for you to build your resources and improve your account. Welcome back to another Pokemon Sleep video, it's Bro Vinny here. Now the event information on this event is actually very short, and it's kind of a good thing. I don't have much to talk about. Or do I? So, as it turns out, there is a lot to talk about. And this came to me in my dream. I was taking a nap while thinking about the event information, and it occurred to me that this event, the Pokemon Growth event, is actually Stufful's event. Let me show you why this is a Stufful event. So let's go through the event information first. Very simply, we are going to get 1.5 times the EXP during all 7 days of the Growth event. But we will also get candies for the first sleep research of the day, meaning that if you do naps, that's a bad idea. Especially if your nap is a short first session, then you won't be getting much of the bonuses at all. Although if you do a nap, the 1.5 times multiplier to sleep EXP will apply to both sessions of that day. And that's the same as the Good Sleep Day events. Regardless, just to maximize your drowsy power so you get better spawns, therefore more candies, it's best to avoid taking naps for this event. The event bonuses will go to all areas, so you can get these bonuses no matter which area you pick. So the main question now is, well, where should you go? Which area should you pick for the growth event? To me, there's two ways we can think about this. We can start with, well, which Pokemon do you want to raise on your team right now? So you've got something that you've just started investing in, or something that you're near level 50 and you want to unlock a certain skill. Maybe you've got a level 48 Walrein or level 48 Feraligatr that you haven't quite got to the level 50 sub-skill yet and you want to unlock that sub-skill. Well then, focusing on the Helper Sleep EXP bonus might be a good idea, because what you'll do is you'll pick your team of 5 Pokemon that you want to raise, and out of those 5 Pokemon, which area will that team provide the most drowsy power? It would make a lot of sense for you to take your Feraligatr to Cyan Beach, for example, in order to raise its sleep EXP, and in the meantime for it to help you build your drowsy power so that from your sleep research session also get good candies. But the way I would choose the area is actually by focusing on the candy bonus rather than the sleep EXP bonus. One of the reasons is that, well, sleep EXP, you only get about 500 every night. Putting any sub-skills or natures aside, sleep EXP provides you with 500 EXP every night because there's 5 Pokemon each getting 100 EXP. The candy equivalent of 500 EXP is 20 candies. Very simple maths, because 500 EXP and every candy gives you 25 EXP. Putting all natures and sleep EXP bonus sub-skill aside, that's 20 candies. And to earn 20 candies from sleep research isn't that hard. Let's take Totodile for example, who produces 3 candies from a 1-star sleep style. If you have 8 Totodiles from your sleep research, that's already 24 candies. Of course, to use those candies will cost you Dream Shards, but putting the Dream Shards aside, getting the multiplier, the 1.5 times multiplier on candies seemed to be better value than just the 1.5 times multiplier on 500 EXP. You just got to make sure you have as high a drowsy power as you can throughout this event week to maximize your candy returns. Of course, 24 candies is the low end of what I expect to get from each sleep session. Some sleep styles will give you 10 candies just for 1 spawn. But of course, there's some randomness involved, and also not every candy is usable. For example, you could get a bunch of Sudowoodo candies that you would never use. Except now we know we could use them on the Candy Cramomatic. So the next time the Candy Cramomatic comes along, maybe those candies do have some value. So they're not totally useless after all. So hopefully we're on the same page about which bonus to focus on. Between the sleep EXP and the candy bonus, I would much rather focus on the candy bonus. However, there is one other factor to consider. The reason why I said if you have a very high level Pokemon, like a level 48 Feraligatr, it might be a good idea to focus on the Sleep EXP instead, is because Sleep EXP doesn't cost you Dream Shards. Whereas using candies, the higher level your Pokemon, the more Dream Shards it costs. So if you have more high level Pokemon that you really want to raise, it would make some sense to consider the Sleep EXP bonus as well. So if you agree that candies from the sleep research is more important, then what you should do next is to look at, well, which Pokemon do you want candies for? My personal recommendation is anything that is a little bit lower in level that you're still trying to raise, something that you normally don't have enough candies for. For myself, generally speaking, those Pokemon are ingredient or skill specialists. And that's because I usually sleep with berry specialists. Because overnight, during a long sleep, let's say 8.5 hours, it's better for berry specialists to hit sneaky snacking than ingredient specialists or skill specialists. If you don't understand this point, let me know in the comments section below. But as a result of this, I generally find that I'm short on candies for ingredient specialists, because my berry specialists are leveling up a lot quicker than my ingredient specialists because of the Sleep EXP. So to me, this event is a lot more focused on ingredient specialists. Well, what about skill specialists? Skill specialists are usually much less of a problem because their main value comes from their skill level. Of course, it's still important that they level up, unlock sub-skills to have faster speed, but usually the overriding factor is how many main skill seeds you feed to the skill specialist. So that's why between skill and ingredient specialists, the one that I need candies for are ingredient specialists, where they actually rely more on sub-skills compared to skill specialists. So to figure out now which area to go to grow my ingredient specialists, I'm going to use the Pokemon Organizer. This organizer I've talked about in another video is basically you setting up your own account in a graphical form, but it also comes with one little neat feature that allows you to know where to find the Pokemon that you're looking for in each of the areas. Of course, there's always a Rainix calculator that you can use, which is much more comprehensive, but sometimes there's a little too much data. Note that we are not talking about which Pokemon to hunt. I'm assuming that you already have a good Pokemon that you're ready to invest. Because, well, first of all, Sleep EXP can't apply to a Pokemon you haven't caught yet. So these are my main ingredient farmers currently for each of the ingredients. Now, what's not shown here is which Pokemon I still need to raise. For example, my Victory Bell is well above level 50 already. I don't need to look for any more Bellsprout candies, so that's not a priority. My Blastoise is already very high level, but the problem is I do eventually need to reinvest in a new Blastoise. So I don't mind Blastoise candies, but it's not a priority because I haven't caught my ideal triple milk Blastoise yet. Similar situation with my Gengar. I need a double mushroom Gengar and I don't have one, so I'm still waiting on a better Gengar, but I don't mind candies for it if I can get them. However, it's not a priority. As for Tyranitar, I think a lot of people would still be short on candies for Tyranitar, so it's a good idea to consider focusing on getting Larvitar candies, especially being a pseudo-legendary Pokemon needing more candies to level up, needing a higher level to evolve. But also, because it's a self-healing Pokemon, I personally find that I don't need them to join my nap session, because they don't need the nap healing. So normally my Tyranitar is not on my team gaining Sleep EXP, which is a problem for it to level up, because it's a bit behind everyone else in leveling up. So having candies actually helps. I think a lot of people can use more Stufful candies because, well, Stufful is a relatively good Pokemon given that it farms the ingredient for some of the top dishes and the only one able to do mono corn. So what I do is I take all these Pokemon that I kind of need candies for and I put it all under the location in this document here. So you just put these names in yourself and then just have a look and see which area will provide you with most of the Pokemon whose candies you actually need. Now, one thing that we don't get here is the sleep type the Pokemon spawns in. For example, Dratini spawns in dozing, Stufful spawns in slumbering. So we don't have that information. So that's something I'll ask Nerf to do, the maker of this document, the maker of this spreadsheet, for a future update. Now, so far it actually hasn't been that helpful to me because there's a pretty even spread of all the candies that I need in each of the area. But for some of you guys, this might be quite helpful because you'll be able to see at a glance which area you should pick that has more of the candies of the species that you need. Now, if you remember from the start of the video, I said this is a Stufful event, and it came to me in my dream as I was taking a nap. Now, normally speaking, there's no control over which dish type you get unless you use easy travel tickets. So let's take an example. You're looking for Squirtle candies and you want to raise your Blastoise. Then what you might want to do is you go to Cyan Beach because Squirtle spawns there. You can get more Squirtle candies. You can also sleep with Blastoise because Blastoise is a favorite berry type for Cyan Beach. But the problem is if you roll salad for that week, or the ingredients that Blastoise produces, it being an ingredient specialist, well, it's going to be quite wasted because no dish really uses that much milk or cacao. In fact, in salads, nothing above 35% recipe bonus uses any milk or cacao. Blastoise dishes lie with either curry, Dream Eater butter curry, or desserts. So if you were unlucky enough to get salad at Cyan Beach and you're trying to raise Blastoise, well, you might find that Blastoise isn't providing you with that much drowsy power strength because it's not matching the dish type. Let's take another example. A lot of people might be looking for candies for Larvitar. Like I said before, being a pseudo legend that does self-healing, it generally lacks a lot of candies. Larvitar being available at Taupe Hollow and Greengrass Isle, and I'm assuming again that nobody's going to Greengrass Isle because of area bonus caps, that leaves us with Taupe Hollow. Larvitar being a ginger focused Pokemon is used in all three dish types, in fact some top tier dishes too. So the good news is that regardless of which dish type you roll at Taupe Hollow, you could use Larvitar on your team. But there's two problems. One is, well, Ninja Salad is slightly lower in recipe bonus, still pretty high, but a bit lower than Keema Corn Curry or Tea Time Corn Scones. And secondly, well, Tyranitar is actually not favorite berry for Taupe Hollow. So while it matches some criteria, it doesn't match all the criteria for this event. The three criteria you need to look at when deciding which area to go to is number one, that it's a Pokemon you want to raise, which is on my list here. That Pokemon matches favorite berry to maximize the drowsy power, but also matches the dish type. So while Larvitar at Taupe Hollow can produce ginger regardless of which dish type, it doesn't match the favorite berry. If you use it as a Pupitar, it does, but then it's a bit slower, so then it's compromised anyway. And plus at Taupe Hollow, there's a lot of options for ginger. We've got supplementary gingers from Typhlosion, from Marowak, sometimes even Charizard if your Charizard has level 30 ginger. So Larvitar at Taupe Hollow doesn't really make that much sense. But then you might argue, well, you can use Tyranitar at Snowdrop Tundra where it does match the favorite berry, and again, it can match any dish type. Well, the problem is you don't get Larvitar candies from Sleep Research there because it doesn't spawn there. So it doesn't match all the criteria if you're looking for Larvitar candies. What about Dragonite? Our other pseudo-legendary Pokemon again does self-healing, so generally I find ingredient specialists that does self-healing are quite lacking in candies. Well, Lakeside is not a dragon favorite berry type, so to begin with, we're not maximizing our drowsy power because of reduced berry strength. The other issue is, if we filter for herb dishes, above 35%, there's only one of three dish types that actually uses herbs, and a lot of it, thankfully, but you need to re-roll your dish type at Lakeside for curry if you're using a mono-fiery herb, Dragonite. Otherwise, if you just go to Lakeside for the candy spawns from the Sleep Research and not actually have Dratini on the team, that's fine too, you just lose out on the Sleep EXP bonus. But if you're hunting for Dratini candies, that's the only area to pick anyway. So the reason why this is a Stufful event is because Stufful's ingredient, mainly corn, is available as an ingredient in 5 top dishes. That's above 35%. So it gives you some variety on which dish to cook, but also 4 of those 5 have 48% recipe bonus, which is the current highest recipe bonus. And Stufful matches the Lapis Lakeside favorite berry, that is fighting type. So Stufful is a very strong addition to the team at Lakeside. So hunting for Stufful candies just makes a lot of sense, because not only can you raise your Stufful by putting it on your team, because no matter which dish type you cook, you could use corn, it's also favorite berry, and with these two factors ultimately leading you to higher drowsy power, meaning more spawns, more drowsy power, more spawns, better candies. And hopefully some of them from 3 or 4 star sleep style Stufful or Beware, so you get even more candies in return, helping you raise your Beware even quicker. So Stufful is the only one that matches all 3 criteria: favorite berry, correct ingredient for any dish type, and it's a Pokemon that you probably want to raise. Unless you're running a Corn Dragonite, which is not my preferred option, but of course you can redo this whole analysis yourself based on your own account. I made several assumptions here using my own account, is that everyone has about equal area bonus in all areas, because if your area bonus is really low on Lakeside, well, maybe your sleep styles aren't going to be that great anyway, so your candy returns are going to be reduced. So maybe you want to hit another area if your area bonus is really low. But then my question is, well, what are you waiting for? Lakeside has some of the best Pokemon in this game, including Ralts. So if you haven't been going to Lakeside, you probably should at some point. I don't see it as a bad thing that your area bonus is low there. I think most people should be going to Lakeside as soon as possible, in particular to hunt for Monocorn Stufful and a good Ralts. Now, some people might argue, and look, I had an interesting discussion with someone on my Discord earlier today, that at Lapis Lakeside, your rank would be much lower than at Cyan Beach for the same strength. So shouldn't that mean that at Cyan Beach you get more candies in return? Well, that's not necessarily true, because yes, while unlocking more sleep styles helps at Cyan Beach, your drowsy power is being drained by the higher sleep styles. For the same drowsy power, it's actually sometimes better to have it evenly spread rather than have one sleep style take all of the drowsy power. Let me show you how. And we're going to use Squirtle as our example because it's available at Lapis Lakeside and at Cyan Beach. So for the event, we want to encounter evolutions, because evolutions we know give more candies for the same star sleep style. Of course, we also want higher star sleep styles for more candies. Now, in order to get 3-star Blastoise, there's 2 criteria you must meet. One is the drowsy power requirement, the DPR, that's 63 million, and the other is the rank. Now, the rank changes depending on the area, but usually speaking, the rank is a bit lower in a later area. So Master 9 for Lapis Lakeside and Master 12 for Cyan Beach. The drowsy power requirement though is the same regardless of which area you go to. The resources you get are also the same, so you still get 12 candies from the 3-star Blastoise. Now, to reach Master 12 is easier at Cyan Beach even if you had equally good teams and equally good area bonus. That's because Cyan Beach to reach Master 12 is 910,000 Snorlax strength. Whereas for Blastoise to spawn at Lakeside, it requires 1.6 million Snorlax strength. So almost double the Snorlax strength in order for Blastoise 3-star to even be able to spawn. So that doesn't sound like a good thing for Lakeside if you need that much strength for a higher sleep style to spawn. Now that's actually not true. If we were looking at the sleep style dex progression, yes, then it's important that you try and get that sleep style, no matter which area, because you want to complete your sleep dex goal. But if we're talking about resources, let's say I don't have enough strength to reach 1.6 million. Let's say I only had enough strength to reach 910,000 strength, no matter which area we go to. So 910,000 strength becomes 91 million drowsy power. Coming back to Blastoise stats over here, out of that 91 million drowsy power, 62 would get used for 3-star Blastoise if you manage to see one, leaving you with about 30 million drowsy power for the rest of your spawns, because that's how drowsy power works. Unless you have extremely high drowsy power, generally speaking, your spawns will try to use up all of your drowsy power. So about 30 million will go to the rest of your spawns. Now, because Blastoise 3-star isn't going to spawn at all at Lapis Lakeside because we haven't even reached Master 9 using the same strength we just made it to about Master 3, let's say we see a 2-star Blastoise instead. Now, a 2-star Blastoise actually just takes about 30 million of your Drowsy power. But here's the trick. 2-star Blastoise still gives you 10 candies. And that candy increase is not that big a jump to 3-star Blastoise, only 2 extra candies. But within 60 million Drowsy power, there's enough Drowsy power for 2-star Blastoise to spawn, meaning that there could be 20 candies in total. And in simple terms, 20 candies is more than 12. Of course, the next problem would be the spawn count because there's only so many spawns you can have, and at Lakeside, it's more difficult to reach a high spawn count compared to at Cyan Beach. Now, just for argument's sake, let's say our Drowsy power is 30 million. Over at Cyan Beach at 30 million, you're about to get 8 spawns, whereas at Lakeside, you would fall into 7 spawn count, so you lose out by 1 spawn. Of course, with 1 less spawn, that's going to be less candies, so that is a problem if you have very low Drowsy power. But if you can manage to hit high Drowsy power by day 1, irrespective of which area you go to, then it shouldn't be that big a deal. So the conclusion here is that for resources, rank doesn't really matter that much, but Drowsy power does. So no matter where you go, just make sure you can achieve a high Drowsy power if you want to maximize the outcome from the candy boost during this event. So if you're asking me where I'm going for my growth week, right now, I'm thinking Lapis Lakeside mainly because I am hunting for Stufful candies, but I can also use with some extra Dratini candies, even though Dratini probably won't be on my team unless I roll Curry for the dish type, but Stufful will most likely be on my team permanently, no matter which dish type I get. If this video helped you, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, let me know in the comments section down below.